What's up, fish tank people? Dustin's Fish Tanks bringing it to you on a Sunday, baby. How's everybody doing? I hope you're doing well. In today's video, I'm going to show you the 220 for the first time in probably over the year. We're going to give you an update of what's been going on and what's been not going on in this aquarium. Behind me, it's Sunday. It's Species Sunday. I got a few aquarium plants to talk with you about and one legit fish. But folks, I gotta get extremely woo-woo with you before I start. You're watching this video a little bit after Thanksgiving. This is a reflective time of year for me. I spent some time with my family. And I want to get woo-woo, and I tell you what I was doing this time last year. You see, folks, it was this time last year, the day before Thanksgiving, the land where now Greenhouse 2.0 sits has been graded. They have dug the piers. Those of you following the saga will recall they had to re-dig them and realign them. And it's the day before Thanksgiving, and I'm waiting on the concrete trucks basically all day to show up at 2.0 to pour the concrete into the oversized, paid too much, could have gotten away with smaller piers that the big giant galvanized steel poles are going to go up into. So I'm anxiously awaiting, like a kid at Christmas, to see actually what the structure is going to look like. This is the first day of vertical action, right? But this is one of those things where you have to make sacrifices for the things you want in life. It's the day before Thanksgiving. My wife and kids are waiting on me. Like, I can feel them waiting on me, even though I'm dying to see how this is gonna look. So the dynamic of the family thing is going on there. We wait and wait and wait. Concrete trucks arrive super late because they're coming from Richmond instead of somewhere else. And Eric and his Kentucky-based crew are working the day before Thanksgiving. And at around 5 o'clock, they have placed not one, not two, not three, not four, not five, not six, not seven, but 8 of the piers, of the pillars, of the foundation. For the first time, we have some vertical action. Let's fast forward 24 hours. I eat the local Thanksgiving, Kentucky style, here in Lexington with Poppy. You guys might recall my father-in-law is a ninja kung fu master and knows stuff about new construction. I know nothing. I know a little bit more at this point. And I get to take Poppy out to 2.0 and walk around on a seemingly kind of nice sunny day, sunny Thanksgiving. And I'm asking him about final floor height and what to do and all that. And I'm watching him walk around and kind of evaluate the scene. And it does my heart good to both A, show him, and B, get his opinion. Here comes the woo-woo part. The next day, I haul all the family up to Flag City, USA. That's Findlay, Ohio, for all 4 of you who can understand why I'm a Browns fan, even though I live in Kentucky. Go Browns. Let's stomp the Steelers for a second time again today. But I go up there and I do the usual Thanksgiving meal with my mom, but then I have a hard trip. I roll over to my 95-year-old grandpa's house, Grandpa Poe. Grandpa Poe is 95 and he's basically laying on his deathbed. And I roll in there with my sister Alyssa, and he goes, he's laying there, he's not getting around, not walking. And he kind of perks up and he goes, "You came all the way to see me?" In somewhat of a loud tone too. And I don't miss a beat. I'm like, "Yeah, Grandpa, I got stuff to show you." So obviously I video everything, and I had videos of the poles I just talked about. So I got my laptop there and I got the screen pulled up and I got blueprints, and I'm showing my grandpa, who was a carpenter, who's into this kind of stuff. I'm showing him the blueprints. I'm showing him, how this is going to be built and where the poles, how the pole's sticking up. This would be the last time that I'd see this man alive, by the way. So I'm like, "What do you want, Grandpa? You want a hamburger or something? Malt?" So I'm like, I'll go to Wilson's and I'll get him something. So I look over to my 93-year-old grandmother, who is not a woman I would want to mess with. She has kept this man alive for 95 years. And I'm like, "Grandma, you care if I get Grandpa a hamburger?" And she goes, I'd rather you wouldn't. And I looked my 93-year-old grandma and I was like, "I think he'll be all right." And like the hospice lady is there, she's like, "I think he'd like a hamburger." So I went against what my 93-year-old grandmother wanted me to not do or whatever. So I go and I fetch Grandpa the hamburger. He pounds it, tears it up, just rips it apart, and loves it, swallows it, no problem, you know. And then he falls asleep soon after, and then he wakes up a bit later. And I have one of those moments that are super dear to me, and I'm gonna tie this into you all in a second, and fish. And I'm sitting there, and he's got this old book, and I'm flipping through this old book, and in the book is like all these pictures. These are like the first pictures ever taken, because it's from his time over in Japan during World War II. My grandpa was one of the later people to go, which probably saved his life, because he went over way late into Japan and kind of was on the cleanup crew. But he's got a bunch of pictures of Japan in World War II. And I'm flipping through it, and there's pictures of him and the army and the whole deal. And there's these tiny little pictures. And one of the pictures has a bunch of faint koi fish in it. And I get to ask my grandpa, the last time that I ever see him alive, hey Grandpa, what are these? Where was this? And he said, well, it was Tokyo. He tells me it was Tokyo. And it turns out these were the koi in the palace in Tokyo. And somebody pointed out when I originally talked about this in a video that some of those fish are probably still alive. So I'm gonna bring it full woo-woo with you all. I hate the connection between me and the YouTube channel and my life and the whole thing sometimes, but it goes like this. A couple of weeks later, my grandpa passes away. Coincidentally, that day at 11 o'clock, I dropped a video where I talk about him and the koi in Japan for the first time. Grandpa Po leaves the earth about 20 minutes after that video comes out. So I'll leave it to you with this on the woo-woo stuff. Two things. One, I'm 1 year in from poles being vertical, Greenhouse 2.0, which now I totally love. And I ask you this, what can you, Mr. and Mrs. Fish Tank person, get done in a year? And the second thing, and the bigger woo-woo thing, is this. When you're laying on your deathbed, what's gonna be important to you? And what are you gonna wish you had tried, done, or accomplished in your life as you're staring at the end of it? Now let's talk about the aquarium. Thanks for putting up with the woo-woo. I want to leave you with one last little thought, and that is this. If you take a test and you get 95 out of 100 questions right on the test, that is an A. My grandpa lived to be 95 freaking years old. He lived a beautiful life. Goethe once said the secret of life is living. That man lived to be 95. Let me talk about something that I'm enjoying living with right here in the 220. Well, you got to talk about the biggest things first. That is the giant Crenum natans right here. Folks, you guys will not get justice of how big this plant is unless I do this for you. That is the plant. This tank is 30 inches tall, so right there from the bottom is 30 inches. That's another 2 feet up top of there. I'm going to tell you that's every bit of 5 feet long. I absolutely love the leaves on this plant, are amazing. Sadly, I have to trim it, but it's an awesome plant. I'm looking forward to having the space at 2.0 to actually go out and grow it out on its own. It's a heavy root feeder. This plant does all of the filtering as far as I'm concerned in this aquarium because it has such a giant plant mass. I want you to look over here. This is a Crypt Oosteriana. Notice that new leaf. That's almost like just kind of started, but then yesterday it really started to pop off. It's one of the larger crypts. Fortunately, it's an extremely slow grower, so it, you know, hasn't grown a whole lot, but it seemed to give me a good little bit of a pop yesterday. But it should not be overshadowed by the Crenum because it's a really sweet crypt. I mean, crypts with leaves this large are super fun. Underneath higher light and CO2, this crypt will actually give you a nice red vein. You can kind of see some of the red in it down there. So it's super fun. There is one betta fish in here that I got at Aquascaping, bro. All right, so I've been talking about schooling fish in the past couple of videos. Let me know, folks, what kind of fish would you like to see in the 220 behind me right here? What would rock with the big Crenum and all that? Notice the roots on that too. Check that out. Look at how the roots are attached to that rock. I kicked on the FX4. All that runs this tank is an FX4, by the way. Got one of my blasters on here. It actually needs two because it's 24 inches front to back. So I could use two. I've only got one. And then down here, I've got some Anubias Coffeefolia that's completely unfazed. I've got a Gangsta Pleco. Got some Anubias. Notice the roots on that Anubias. It doesn't care. And then some Bucephalandra, which has really not even remotely cared about what's happened to it during the neglect from Dustin period. Another Anubias caufifolia and the Anubias nana. And I want to point out, yes, there's a bunch of dirt all over the top of this because I scrubbed it yesterday and I need to get in there and do another big vacuum on it. But it's not exactly easy to work on because it's 30 inches. Some more Anubias down here. And one of the few fish that survived the chlorine massacre from several months back. But this tank is successful because it has a dirt substrate that's been dirted for many, almost 10 years now. And it is still going, not quite as good as it once had been. But yeah, the 220 is here. And for the first time over this holiday break, I might have some fun either on or off camera playing in the 220. But as you just heard the little saga talking about my grandpa and the building of Greenhouse 2.0, I've been a little bit busy, but I'm excited to be returning to playing in this aquarium. Everybody make it an awesome week and tank off.